This is John for Everyday Fan. Today I have the pleasure, the real pleasure of talking with one of my wrestling favorites, Barry Horowitz. How are you, Barry?
I am doing great, John. It is a pleasure to be here and meet you, sir.
I can't tell you, man, I followed your career and this is a thrill just to talk to you. You got a book coming out. Wrestling is My Gimmick, My Life on the Wrong Side of the Three Count. We're definitely going to talk about that. Just want to get a few other questions in first.
Sure.
When did you start wrestling? What led you to start wrestling?
Well, actually, I got the dream when I was probably 14 or 15 watching Florida Championship Wrestling in Florida, where I'm from. To make a long story short, I was watching the matches. And of course, when you're 14 or 15, John, my fans could tell you, the world could tell you, oh, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a jet pilot, an astronaut. Well, my first dream was being a magician. And
Oh,
believe it or not, at 10 or 11 years old, I was pretty good at pocket magic. I thought I was. I was pretty decent, doing it every day, having a passion. And of course, it disappeared. And when I saw wrestling, I I pursued it. I said, well, the best thing to do is build a foundation. So I started amateur wrestling at a youth center in St. Pete. It was a free program, after school program. And I stayed on that. I stayed in that. And then I went through junior high, high school. I wrestled for FSU. College didn't work out really well for me. I mean, I did good because I had something to fall back on as far as I'm a certified sports nutritionist as we speak. And it was a passion of mine, but it wasn't really plan B. It was plan A to be a professional wrestler. And I wanted that anyway to fall back on. Just something plus they coincide with each other,
sure.
if you will. So my diet and training, I think it all had a part of it. And I figured to be a pro wrestler, and this wasn't a qualification, this is just my thoughts. I said, I want to pay my dues. I want to amateur wrestle. Yes, could I do all right? I did all right, but I got some time in. I started paying dues at an early age as far as athleticism. And from there it went on, and I was pretty lucky. A friend of a friend introduced me to an entrepreneur. To be exact, his name is Lenny Greenberg, an iconic man and his family. They still live in St. Pete. Sadly, that Lenny left us and passed away a few years back. But I'll never forget this gentleman. He really opened. I had the passion and the mindset and the training ability as far as what I want to do in the gym and whatnot. But he opened that professional door to introduce me to somebody that could get the ball rolling faster. And I think without him, it may have been a longer journey. But his connections, in my eyes, in my opinion, I say this on every one of my interviews, it's not a prop, it's a fact. I was trained by the greatest ever, the Malenko family, Karl Gotch, Karl von Stronheim. These gentlemen helped build my foundation. If you're building a house, you start at the basement. They built the foundation of my house, the basement. As far as the second, third, fourth, and fifth room and the bathrooms in the attic, I took that upon myself to build it myself and surrounded myself with other pro wrestlers that helped me with my career. So they helped me what to do, and then I learned what not to do. That's another subject as far as added or squared circle, in the squared circle, for carrying yourself as a professional athlete.
So do you remember when you first realized that you've made it as a pro wrestler?
Um, well, let's see. I trained, and then yes, I would say I did a lot of independent matches in Florida. But when I took off and got in the car and headed northeast, and I contacted, again, a long story short, I contacted Gorilla Monsoon at his home.
Wow.
And he was telling me that the WWWF, run by Vince McMahon Sr., runs TV every 3 weeks in Allentown, PA, and Hamburg, PA, Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, that got me going. And when I walked in that locker room, I mean, there was a plethora of professional superstars. I'm talking Don Morocco, Bob Orton Jr., Mr. Fuji, Mr. Saito, Bob Backlund. I mean, the list goes on and on. Blackjack Mulligan. I mean, Vince Sr., Jr., Gorilla Monsoon, Pat Patterson was one of the agents. Tony Gurria was another one. Chief Jay Strongbow, another one. And I was overwhelmed and young, so I kept my mouth shut and listened and listened and listened. That was this is my career. I got to be in the gym. I got to stay out of trouble. I got to have a little bit of luck. I got to train hard. I got to watch films. I was watching wrestling matches from Florida, Georgia Championship Wrestling, and of course the great state of Texas. Whatchamacallit? Oh my God, I can't believe it.
WCCW.
What's that?
WCCW in Texas.
It was WCCW, but they weren't called World Class. Yeah, I'm sorry, World Class Wrestling, World Champ, the Von Erichs.
Right, right.
And anytime I could watch a film and watch different matches, it really helped. Plus, when I got going, I was watching other matches at TV. You weren't allowed to leave. You were supposed to watch. They don't do that nowadays with rookies and whatnot, newbies, guys that are green. It helped a lot. Where am I going? I have nowhere else to go. This is what I'm doing. I'm eating, drinking, and sleeping this almost every day. I was wrestling at least when I got going after the stint for about a year and a half with the WWF. Vince Sr. called Jimmy Crockett, Mid-South Charlotte Promotions, and I was booked. I was there for 2 years wrestling at least 4 and 5 nights a week.
Wow.
I'm traveling with Rufus R. Jones, Jimmy Valiant, Sonny Fargo. I'm in there with Steamboat, Youngblood, Rotundo, Bugsy McGraw, Roddy Piper, Harley Race, Ric Flair, Orton Jr. I mean, that list goes on and on. If you did, back in the day, if you did WWF and Charlotte, you're pretty big time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was other places, Georgia, Tennessee. These were a little bit down the list in my eyes. But when you went to Charlotte or Florida or to WWF, you know, I mean, that's the superpowers, if you will.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
When did you develop the famous gimmick, the pat on the back? I love that. How did you develop that? When did you develop that?
I developed that in, let's see, I was a junior in high school wrestling team. I just thought I was just the cat's meow, if you will. And I just did a cool amateur move. I was just a nice takedown. I patted myself on the back, but just a goof. And of course, I got screamed at by the coach, reprimanded, points deducted. I'm not going to do that again. But I put that in my back pocket tightly because I knew I wasn't going to the Olympics. I wasn't good enough for NCAA or AAU. I wish I was, but it wasn't the dream. Maybe if I pushed that way. So I knew I'm going to use this when I turn pro. And when I turned pro as a heel, that was my trademark. I would either do it before a good move or after a fancy suplex or leg sweep. It was never overkill. I would introduce myself with the pat on the back, maybe as I'm stalking you and I'm going to hit you with a snap suplex. I would do it, or after I hit you with a beautiful drop kick, another suplex, cover you 1-2, I get up and pat myself on the back. I'm the man in this ring. So that was what that's about.
Well, now you're very open about this. What did it mean for you to be a successful Jewish wrestler?
I didn't really dwell on any of that. I mean, I'm Jewish and I was proud of it, and nothing was really mentioned, anything like that, until I would say maybe 94, 95. Actually, the Star of David on my trunks was Chief Jay Strongbow's idea.
Oh, okay.
And they designed the trunks with multiple stars. and he told them to take that off. This isn't a joke. This is a nationality. It's a religion. You don't, it's like somebody Catholic putting crosses all over it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's overkill. It's too much. One star is enough. The Star of David, they know what that means. If you don't, well, then I don't know what to tell you on that. You need to wake up and smell the roses. But yeah, so we did it that way. And that's all that was pushed of it. My name alone, Barry David Horowitz, my full shoot given name is enough that I'm Jewish. And then, of course, the Star of David. I wouldn't speak it about interviews, and I never spoke Hebrew or Jewish. I'm a conservative Jewish man, and that's just the way I was brought up. So it wasn't that. It wasn't like that. So
Well,
that's how that goes.
I know several Jewish fans that really looked up to you, especially because the Jewish community wasn't very well represented at all, especially in professional wrestling. So you were one of the first and one of the biggest names, and I know that a lot of fans really looked up to you for that.
I think so because I run into them at the meet and greet table when I travel, and you are right. They do mention that, and they embrace it. I embrace it. They love it, and I love that too. So and I'm sure there's other Jewish wrestlers.
Well, there are.
I mean, there's some that's an obvious name like Goldberg. It's very obvious about that name. But then there's some guys that are Jewish that changed their name, either for shortening it, for I don't know what reasons. Maybe just a bigger, they wanted to have a star name like Jerry Star or Jerry Lightning. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
So, and their name could have been Mark Moskowitz or something. And maybe that doesn't look good on the marquee. But
right.
I was Jack the Stretcher Hart. I was Bret Hart. I was Barry Hart. Barry Hart was given to me by Malenko, but Vince Jr. turned it to Barry Horowitz, used his real name.
I think it's great. I think it's part of what made you part of many factors that made you a very popular wrestler.
I think so too. Yep.
Let's talk about your book. That's the main subject. It's coming out soon. Wrestling is my gimmick, my life on the wrong, excuse me, on the wrong side of the 3 count. Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, the book is wow. How do I say? It starts from my humble beginnings, stories here and there. I'm not in the book to bury anybody. I'm not into that. If I did, I would probably be by assumption or without a name. And why that? It's not that I'm scared of doing this or doing that. I don't like calling out people. Like if I'm going to call somebody out, I can call them out to their face or discuss this over the phone. No texting or no emails, but it would be a landline phone or face to face. I'm not going to I'm not going to ruin anybody's life or bury somebody because they were ribbing me or something. I could care less. I don't put over goofy jokes. It's just and believe me, if I put some of these things over, these so-called pranks and jokes that were very immature, everybody did. You go with the flow and you'll get along better. But if you start telling on people and going to the office and talking to Vince and talking to Dave Hebner or Chief Jay Strongbow or Tony Gurria and telling on people, that's going to make it worse.
Sure.
It's a shame, but that's the way things are. And nothing was really, I've got ribbed before. Nothing really didn't bother me at all. The only thing that bothered me, if I wasn't performing or booked, that would bother me. That's money taken out of my pocket. As far as the goofy jabroni jokes, I don't put that stuff over. I don't have to. I got bigger fish to fry, John.
I get it. So the title of your book is a little lighthearted. You're on the wrong side of the 3 count, but you've had a successful career. You've held titles in other companies, tag titles, singles titles. You're in the New England Wrestling Hall of Fame. Bret Hart said you should be a Hall of Famer. Jacques Rougeau said that you've made other guys Hall of Famers. What does it mean to you when these other guys are saying that about you?
Well, first of all, there's a few and far in between. I'm grateful. The other guys, I guess, just don't want to put me over verbally, or they're jealous, or I don't know what their deal is. I don't have time to get inside their head. Okay. And I don't want to. I know, think about this, what I'm about to say, John. Not everybody could be the lead singer of the rock group. It's impossible. It just the way it is. Not everybody could be a superstar, a Hulk Hogan, or Kevin Nash. It just can't be. It would be boring. I mean, if you went to a restaurant and everything it said was filet mignon, where's the chicken? Where's the shrimp? Where's the turkey sandwich? Where's the tuna? Where's the salad? I mean, it just, and what it is I was pushable, but also I could get their guys over in a proper way. So I am an asset, because the people didn't know, because the way I carried myself, the way I looked, the way I talked on promos. I wasn't just your average put over guy. You know, an average put over guy, and I'm not putting them down.
No, of course.
They don't want to be full-time. Listen, they got a great, successful job somewhere. You know, some of these guys are making big time money. They can go on TV and tell their friends and work once a month, get an extra spending money or whatever. Well, I don't want that. I want this to be full-time. And I've been doing this since 1981. I took a few years off only twice and returned. And yeah, that's it. I appreciate these guys that do that. See, I can mention their names. I'm not using their names for a highlight reel. I'm just mentioning because it has happened. And I put over the proper people. There's some people I probably don't care for in this business, or didn't enjoy working with them, or didn't like what they had to do, or whatever. I'm not going to mention that. I don't care. I don't want to be around them. So they come south, I go north. I'm not into that. I've always been a leader, not a follower, especially in high school and college and professional wrestling. Maybe if I was a follower in pro wrestling, maybe I would have made more money. Maybe I would have went further. But let me tell you something. Let's just say I followed that wrong road and got fired, or God forbid, got arrested or killed or something. Does anybody care about my family? Does anybody care about me? Does anybody care about Owen Hart? And I use him for a prime example because he's number one on my list as far as dance partners. I've got a list, a good list. And mostly we're all alike. We're amateur wrestlers, but we're technical wrestlers. They're not hardcore or anything like that. Not putting them down, not putting down tag team wrestling, not putting down any of that. I'm just promoting or liking my style. That's all. And I use Owen, I guess, for that example, and I'm sure there is people that do care. But, you know, without dwelling on it or getting into a long song and dance, it should have never happened, and never happened to Owen. And people of that caliber of technicality and physicality, wrestling, don't come down from the ceiling.
Right.
They don't need to. That's partly a gimmick. The only people that really came from the ceiling that could do it all, and you know, it was Sting's gimmick was pretty cool. That was part of it. But most of the time, and I think Shawn Michaels did it one time on an Anaheim WrestleMania. I think I don't know who else came from, but most of it is a cover-up because they can't work, so they do something like that. Not all of them,
right?
Some. So it's almost a cover-up because of certain things you can't do.
So what do you hope the reader gets from your book?
I hope they get to learn a little bit more about me, of certain things I've put in there that I've never mentioned, about my amateur background, about my family. I don't dwell on family. It's about me. And it's not that I'm just making it about me and not my family. My family is first and foremost, but the book is me. It does, you know, if it was different, like Barry Horowitz and family, just like if you had a TV show or whatnot, you know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
That's just that's what I think, and they'll learn different things about me and different little secrets about me. I mean, not secrets, but little things I like my passion also, besides training and eating right, loving wrestling, and loving the fans and doing these meet and greets and seminars and the cameos and the books. And I'm part owner of Good Times Guaranteed Live Wrestling Auction with my agent and manager, Richie Sorrentino, aka the King of Credit. Just let you know about that. So it lets them know about that. Also, my passion is I love country music. Love
Oh,
it.
okay.
Lived in Nashville for 10 years. I was in a #1 country music video of the year, song of the year. A lot of people don't know that.
Which was it?
So that song was by the late great Joe Diffie, and it was Pickup Man. And I'm in that video 4 times.
Very cool.
Oh, it's a cool song. It's really a catchy song. Even if you don't like country music, if you don't get with that, I mean, you got no heart or anything. I mean, it's badass.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited
And
about that.
I was in others, but they didn't. Sometimes they don't go through. You know, they cancel a
Sure.
video. I think I did one video with what was the name of that group? The Confederate Railroad, and the video never. It was supposed to show me, but they changed it around and they made it into a Star Wars video with people with masks on.
Oh,
And the
geez.
biggest complaint was the lead singer said I look too much like him.
Oh, God. Oh,
Well,
geez.
first of all, we did resemble each other, except for, I mean, dude was about $170. I'm 220, and I'm 6 foot. Um, and then all of this going through this and rehearsing and everything in downtown Nashville, and they change up the whole video, and people are wearing Star Wars masks around the bar scene. So it does happen like that. I've read for a script for a bodyguard for Tanya Tucker. That didn't transpire either. Some things just don't go through sometimes.
Sure.
So,
Understand.
but love Nashville, love country music. In the gym, I love my 80s rock. I mean, I love my Motley Crue and Van Halen, Cinderella. I mean, the list goes on and on with 80s rock. I mean, God, God, I can go on. Loverboy and Foreigner. I mean, REO Speedwagon. It's great in the gym. It's awesome.
Oh, I agree.
Love it. Love it.
Totally
But when
agree.
I'm at home or I'm driving or I'm sitting down and chilling out, I'm listening to Music Choice on the TV, or I'm watching country music videos. Love them. Just love them.
Well, that's part of what people will learn from reading your book. Tell
Oh
everybody
yeah.
where they can get more information about your book, where they could buy it. What's all the details?
Well, as of right now, I'm a little bit in the dark, and it's so new. As far as I was told, it's pre-order on Amazon, and I think you have to go to my Facebook or just Google Barry Horowitz, my book. I think they'll give you more information. I was told the super duper push is in November. And then, of course, you would think I'd probably be getting books sent to my house. I will bring them for sale on the meet and greet trail. And then the rest they could buy probably through Amazon or your local, I would think Barnes and Noble.
Sure.
I'm not sure, but I'm sure if you called these various bookstores, they know. I did a podcast 3 weeks ago with these 3 gentlemen that were awesome. And one of them told me the name of my book. So like that, I'm going, how the heck? And he says, my dad's a manager of Barnes and Noble.
That helps.
So I guess he was told that because he's a wrestling fan. So I'm assuming if you called them up, they would know.
Well, I know I looked it up and I found it, so I will put the link on here. I encourage
Oh,
every
okay, thank you. I think it's McFarland Publishing, by the way.
right, right.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I will put the link. I encourage everyone to check it out because you really had a fantastic career and an interesting life. I could talk to you for hours, man. This has been a big thrill talking to you. I enjoyed your career.
Oh, thank you.
And speaking to you has only made it even better.
That's only a speck of it, John. I'm serious. I mean, the stories from 81 to right now. I mean, shoot, I was 20 years old, 21 when I 21 when I was wrestling full time.
That's
So
why that's
yeah,
why people have to buy the
it's been a
book.
long career. I've had some injuries. I have fulfilled my dream. It's not done yet. The only thing I would love left, I've gotten to do everything I want up to this point. I would love to be a coach for one of these billion-dollar wrestling companies.
And you should be with the talent that you have.
I hear that a lot, John. I guess I don't know what the deal is. They know where I'm at. They know how to find you. They know what I look like. They know what I'm capable of. I mean, do I need a trial? Do I need a test run? I mean, it's almost disrespectful and a slap in the face. I
Right.
mean,
Your
and
career is your resume.
yes, and I know various coaches. Some of them I don't know. I know they don't have my background or my know-how. And then some of them maybe are better than me, maybe been around longer. I mean, you got people like Steve Kern and Brian Blair. I mean,
Sure.
they've been doing this stuff way before me. So, and they got the tools.
Well,
So,
Barry, I do appreciate your time. I encourage everyone to check out your book, My Life on the Wrong Side of the Three Count. Wrestling is My Gimmick by Barry Horowitz. It's coming out soon. I will update people on my sites when it comes out. Check out Barry on Google, look him up. You'll find him. You'll find the book. Check it out. Barry, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, and I
oh,
really
it's been a
appreciate it.
pleasure with you. I wanna also, if you don't mind, I wanna shout out to Cameo and Pro Wrestling Tees. Of course, Good Times Guaranteed, Facebook, my book, everything on social media. The fans have been awesome to me since this world has changed and they smartened up. The wrestling fans, they're so polite at the meet and greet tables. They appreciate good wrestlers because they got a clue. 20 years ago, it was a different story, different conversation. And I respect that. So, in leaving, though, I have two things I need to tell you. I do know you're from Chicago, and
Yes.
you could tell a guy from Chicago, but you can't tell him much.
Now that surprised me when you caught that at the beginning of the interview.
Oh, I'm a worldly person, John.
I have no doubt.
And I got something right here for you. Let me show you this. This is special, John, and this is just for you. You're the man, John.
Barry, it's been a pleasure, man.
Been a pleasure, John. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you very much. We'll
You're
be
a real pro. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.